What's up guys, and welcome back to episode 20 of the Ultimate Guide to Dark Souls 2, and in this episode we're going to be covering the Undead Crypt.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of enemies in here that drop some pretty decent shit, so
but first thing you
yeah.
definitely want to do, by the way, is take off the Dark Halberd.
Yeah, equip whatever weapon you've got that has like the highest like physical damage.
Yeah, you do not want the dark. You do not want a dark weapon here because everything in this area is fairly resistant to dark, including the boss, who is insanely resistant to dark.
Yeah, like so. At the very least, especially for this next upcoming area. Now, if you kill this guy, I'm pretty sure he always drops a torch.
I think he does.
Like
yeah. The first time you kill him, he always drops a torch. Second time around, he won't drop the torch.
So we've just got some undead prisoners, so they can drop like the prisoner set or whatever.
Now for you Faith guys, this won't be a problem because their affinity barely does any damage when you've got Great Magic Barrier on, so you can probably take advantage of that. But we don't have Great Magic Barrier, so we're going to take our time. These guys, there's 3 of these Lydia Witches. Once we get close, we'll be able to actually show you what they look like. Once we kill them, we'll be able to go over the drops for you and you can see what it is that we're talking about. But there's 3 of them over there. So we're going to do our best to just try and pick them off a little bit.
Yeah, you can get really overwhelmed at this area. Even like experienced players can get fucked in this area. So
yeah.
I mean, unless you're just running past, which I guess you could just do.
The funny thing is, in NG+, these guys, this area is laughable. Like, this particular room is laughable. Like, they do so little damage to you in NG+, that it is stupid. But of course, we're not in NG+. We're barely breaking the soul level 100 at this point, so we're not exactly amazingly buffed. And even then, you've seen us take some of Affinity to the face and it done nothing.
It's just the fact that they can then poison you as well, and they can cast pyromancies and stuff. So.
They cast everything basically. I don't think they cast lightning. From what I'm aware.
In this area, you kind of just want to take your time, essentially. But having the greatsword means you can kill these things in 2 hits.
Yeah.
Although we kill them in 3 hits for some reason, you can kill them in 2 hits. I don't know what the difference is.
Sweet spots in the greatsword.
Yeah, it must be something to do with that. But if you try to hit them with a halberd, you do very, very little damage.
Oh yeah, it takes like 4 hits with a halberd to kill them.
That's more than that.
So now that we've killed them, Lydia Witches have the chance to drop the Black Witch Staff, a very, very, very good catalyst. It casts everything except pyromancy.
Yep. Its
scaling is fairly even, so it's really good for those hexes that want to run like miracles like Great Heal, and some high-powered sorceries like Soul Spear in there as well. They drop the Lydia Black Hood and Lydia Black Robes, reasonably good armor sets. Dark Quartz Ring +2, Simpleton Spice, Skeptic Spice, and Magic Stone.
Okay, so this is Agdane. He's got like a bunch of stuff.
Elizabeth Mushrooms and Human Effigies, 13 of each I think it is.
Yeah, it does sell some pretty decent things, but he also has a quest attached to him, so try not to kill him. If you do kill him, he'll drop his kill, and he's a Malentiable NPC, so you can buy the rest of his equipment off Malentia if you do kill him.
But you don't want to kill him because after you beat the next boss, you can come back here and he gives you all his stuff.
Yeah. Now, if you talk to him at this point, he can become a summon for Velstad, the next boss.
But you don't want that either.
You don't. You do not fucking summon him, Jesus Christ.
Right, let us tell you why. So, we've already covered that the boss in this area, Velstad, is highly resistant to dark. Agdane uses the Crypt Black Sword as a weapon, not the Dark Drift that he gives you. He uses the Crypt Black Sword, a weapon with really high dark attack rating. The problem with that is the boss is very resistant. And of course, when you summon for a boss, the boss gets a bit of a buff. Velstad also has a self buff that he can cast when his health gets down to around 60%. So then you have to fight a double buffed Velstad with a summon that does about 100 damage a hit at best, with a sword that is huge, like an ultra great sword we're talking about here that does 100 damage a hit to him.
Yeah, it's not
good. Stupid. You're talking like the opposite of Black Eye on Tarkus. It's like summoning Solaire for the Gaping Dragon. It's just not worth it. And of course these are Sign Knights. Went over what they dropped before, their armour, their shield, great sword, and they can drop the halberd as well. So we went over this already.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're not really sure why these guys, I mean, I suppose these guys would be here due to the fact that the Vendrick.
Yeah, but although in saying that, like, there's quite a lot of enemy variants in this area, but there's also a lot of secret items and stuff that we're going to show you as well, which there's one pretty close here. Now, a lot of this video is actually doing a whole bunch of quests related to this area, and so, I mean, first of all, you just want to drop down here, and kill these enemies, whatever. I mean, these guys
these
are
not
going to give you an issue.
We've already been over their drops as well. It's like the prisoner stuff, torches, that sort of thing. So
we got some spice and a soul. So souls are always good. And so coming up here
now we can take the ladder all the way to the top, and I believe there's a chest up here.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this has the crushed eye orb.
Yeah, as it's the Crush Diorb for when you invade Lycia of Lundelt.
Yeah, which we do at the end of this video. So.
And Fire Seed.
Nice. So dropping back down and continuing on.
But yeah, we're going to drop down here as well because there's actually a little... so we're going to open the fog gate because it all leads back around anyway, so don't worry. So we're going to open it and then come back through. We're going to drop down and we're going to use a flame butterfly and light this little brazier down the bottom because it will actually illuminate the entire Undead Crypt for us, and you get a nice little light show when you do it.
You see light brazier?
Apparently they're called braziers.
That's...
Apparently that's what they're called. Apparently that's what they're called.
I don't...
But yeah, look, it lights everything up and it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so there's also like a shortcut as well, but you don't get that right away. So.
Yeah, we need to go through the next area before we can get the shortcut. Yeah. But it's a soul vessel. Another thing we are going to need. If you follow this guide down to the letter, you're going to need that soul vessel, definitely.
Well, not like, I mean, if you're following the guide down to the letter, obviously we need the soul vessels to show you everything.
Yes.
But you don't need the soul vessel.
Yeah. And plus, it's still handy to have anyway, to have as many soul vessels as you want, as many soul vessels as you can actually get your hands on, rather, because the more soul vessels you've got, the more sort of variance you can get with your build. Like, if you get bored of a build, you can soul vessel and respec into another build.
Exactly.
If you perhaps PvP with this build at the end of the guide, then you can soul vessel into a build that you actually want to PvP with.
Okay, so you want to smash these... like these statues here that have bells on them.
Oh yeah, immediately.
Spawn Lydia Pyromancers.
Every time a bell is rung, a Lydia Pyromancer will pop out of these little statues. Once the statue is broken, they will no longer spawn there, and the statues do not come back. So you want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. Now, on the subject of the Lydia Pyromancers, their drops, the Lydia White set, they drop the Blue Flame, which is a straight sword, which instead of a heavy attack, it casts sorcery. The good thing about that is you can crystal magic weapon it and get some extra damage out of your sorcery, but the problem is its cast speed is fixed, you cannot modify it in any way.
Yeah.
They drop Magic Shield, it can be a 100% magic block shield, it's quite good. Faint Stone, Dark Knight Stone, and Magic Stone. So... 3 stones right there. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad. They are a pain to deal with. They cast pyromancy and sorceries and all that as well, so just try and take them out as quick as you can if they do spawn in.
Yeah. So we've got some Twinkling Titanite, I'm pretty sure back there we've got a Titanite chunk and some Petrified Dragon Bone, so this is all good stuff for making sure your equipment is maxed out before you get to the DLC or New Game Plus.
Yeah, and if you're a PvPer, then you also get Dragged Finger, which you use to reset your invasion timer, so that you can be invaded instantly instead of going through an invasion cooldown. Yeah,
so that was Soul of the Lost Undead, and we're taking care of the final bell.
Yep, so it takes us 3 swings with the Ultra Greatsword to break these little statues down, which is handy. It's really good because we've got enough stamina for 3 swings, and if the little Pyromancer pops out, then it means that we can actually hit them with all 3 swings if we're lucky, and try not to get fucked up here.
Yeah.
As you can see, as I desperately try to break the gravestone, so just be careful of that because that can be a bit of a nuisance. So at this point I'm switching to one hand just so I can fucking hit them, because, and I'm still not even doing that.
That thing is fucking you up, man.
I know, I hate these bastards so much, so much.
So moving on, here's a room where you'll be invaded soon, but there's also a secret door that we're going to go through as well.
First things first though, we want to take care of the invasion, so we're going to dark buff our greatswords because that's the weapon we have on hand at the moment, and it does plenty of damage anyway. But this is once again Nameless Usurper, and I just caught her in the middle of a jump attack with a fucking greatsword. But 5 hits to kill isn't too bad. And yeah, now it's time for us to actually open the secret door, and I believe this is the one with the Avalon?
Yes.
It used to be great, now it's sort of okay.
Now it's like usable, but it's not as good as it was, obviously.
I mean, it used to be broken, but now it's good.
It used to easily be the most broken thing in the game, but yeah, so picking up the Avalon, obviously something you want, because it's a crossbow that fires out 3 bolts instead of 1.
Yep, it's quite handy as well.
It's quite heavy though, and it has pretty high
stat requirements, yeah. Of course, because it's a crossbow, its damage cannot be modified, so you can go to minimum stats, no problem, and it'll do the same damage even if you go like 40 levels above it.
So these guys are Imperious Knights. Now, we, honest to God, just run past these guys.
Yeah.
They're not worth dealing with.
No, they're not worth it.
Yeah, just fucking dodge them and run, honestly. But if you do intend on killing them, they drop
Reeve's Great Shield and Orna's Great Shields, which are the ones you see them there. I don't know which one is which, but you can power stance them as well, and you have like a little smashing together maneuver sort of thing. And they also drop the Imperious Armour, Helmet, Leggings and Gloves. It's an okay set. But there you go. So when you drop down that hole, guys, remember, go left. You're looking for the tunnel that has the sort of bevel across the floor. That's the one you want to run through.
Yeah.
And this is the shortcut back to the second bonfire, rather.
Right, so essentially that room that you drop down into is a catastrophic pain in the arse. So you want to just drop out and then just run out immediately, because the entrance is pretty much there if you drop out straight ahead.
Yeah, the first thing you want to do is definitely get the shortcut back to the bonfire, because it means if you die, then it means you've already gotten the shortcut. So you can just like run the way we're going right now, come out the bonfire, go right, and that's you back there, and you can cross again.
Yeah,
so that's actually really handy.
The point of the room is that it does have some loot in it.
It does have some reasonably good items in it, so
yeah.
This does take us a little bit of time to get through, but we have to go ahead and break all of these statues. Now, there are 2 bells in this room, and there's like 5 statues, so the good news is that the statues don't come back. So if you get low on health or Estus, go back to the bonfire, rest, come back, continue. That's all you want to keep doing, is that. You do not want to overstay your welcome and then get absolutely rushed. As well as if you do get overwhelmed, you do need to run away to heal, just come right back out this entrance, come right back out this way, you've got plenty of time to Estus, the pyromancers won't follow you all the way out, so you have a bit of time left. But this does take a while, so we're going to go ahead and buff and try and kill everything as quickly as we can, just so we can grab the items that are in here. Now, one of the items that is in here that is kind of good is the Mace of the Insolent. It's a chime and a mace. You might see it used more often with Hexer builds, because if they power stance them, they can buff both of them with Dark Weapon, and power stance maces do reasonably good damage when they're power stanced, I suppose. But you definitely don't want to use it in this area, because once again, guys, dark damage is a bad thing to use here. Not in this bit in particular, just the boss. Dark damage is probably the worst thing you can pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, you definitely want to try and kite your enemies as much as possible and try not get ganked. Because if you run into the middle and then all the bells go off, all the fucking gravestones...
If a single bell goes off, pyromancers come out of every single gravestone.
Yeah, so you really don't want that to happen. And you can't destroy the bells that... Like, you can destroy the statues that spawn the pyromancers, but you can't destroy the bells that spawn the pyromancers.
And if you hit the bell, it rings and summons a pyromancer as well.
Yeah, now, not only that, you can run down into these, like, alcoves, and then enemies will just come in.
Oh yeah, you'll get swarmed. Like, you may not even notice it, but
yeah,
you'll get swarmed and they will destroy you.
There's a big clutch moment coming up that you'll see in a second.
So you left that in just because I survived, or did I die?
I don't know. You did survive it, so that's alright.
Yeah, like, there is one of the statues is inside one of these little tunnels, so that is desperately what I'm trying to find, because these pyromancers are coming from somewhere, as well as there is an enemy ringing a bell somewhere. And yeah, there we go, we found it at long last, we found it. Oh shit, yeah, you're right. This has happened to me so many times, by the way. This annoys the living shit out of me. Like, this happens to me so often, so just, yeah, do your best. By the way, the hollows, like the little draglings, spawn infinitely. You can't really do anything about that.
Yeah.
They just keep coming, so there is nothing you can do.
You're fucked if that's what happens.
Yeah, and there's Blue Flame. The very catalyst slash straight sword that I'm talking about. That is exactly what we were, that's exactly, like, that's probably the best drop you can get from these guys if you're a sorcerer.
Now, one of these walls has a...
Pharos contraption face.
Well, it's got like a secret door that you then need to put a Pharos stone in. Now, the wall that has it is the one that's like adjacent to the exit out of it.
Yeah, like there's the exit there, you can see it.
Yeah.
And there's the wall. So, from where we're standing right now, if we were facing this Pharos contraption, the exit would be on the left.
Right. The exit would be in the right.
If we're facing the Pharos contraption.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, not inside, but like if we're facing the wall we just
From
moved.
this angle now it's left.
Yes, it's on your left. But that's all in for the staff, and it's another great lightning spear stack.
Yeah, so I mean the game does give you a lot of great lightning spear, but it is kind of useless at this stage because of the nerf, so...
Yeah, the only spears that are worth using are sunlight spears, and they have a 55 faith requirement, so... I mean, it's really up to you. I suppose you do need to go to 50 for the dragon chimes, so that's some sort of justification for using sunlight spears, but I don't know. All I know is they were handy for NG+4 when I used them, and NG+5 they were alright.
Well, anyway, so that's us rested at the bonfire, and we're going to continue on.
To the last room in the game, actually, is it not?
Yeah, so...
This is the last area of... Not the last room in the game, sorry, the last little section of the Undead Crypt. So went back to the bonfire, rested, got our Estus back, got everything fully recharged. Now we're going to move on now. You need to be very quick here. There's a little Dregling under this staircase who rings the bell. Do not attack anything on these stairs, by the way, because I've recently found out that if you do, the shockwave from the greatsword, if you, like, hit... Did I hit the bell?
Yeah, now what actually happened there is we hit the bell.
This is worst case scenario.
So what actually happens is if you hit the bell, it'll spawn all the pyromancers. So you really don't want to be running through here with all the pyromancers. So you might as well just not do it with the pyromancers.
And just go back and rest and then come back round because it takes you all about, what, 30 seconds?
Yeah, now it's actually something that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah, it's something that no one does.
Yeah.
But you want to do your best not to ring that bell. Now, what I was saying is, if you're on top of the staircase, like above the bell, like the bell's through the floor, the shockwave from the greatsword hitting the floor can ring the bell as well. I know this because it happened to me.
Yeah.
It's awful when that happens because I'm like, what the fuck are these things even doing alive? I killed the guy that rings the bell. I went down and looked and I'm like, god damn it, greatsword. So I mean, you might have more luck if you want to switch to a different weapon so that you definitely guarantee killing this guy without ringing the bell. But yeah, if you ring the bell, like these massive like fucking stones on either side of this pathway are what the pyromancers come out of. It summons like 4 or 5 pyromancers when the bell rings, and it's just something that you can avoid, so you may as well avoid it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's not worth putting the effort in to go through those 5 unless you're farming blue flame, in which case this section is your best friend. Fair enough. If that's the case, if you're farming blue flame, then go for it. These pyromancers should spawn 12 times the same as everything else in the game before they stop spawning, so enjoy. I suppose if you do want the blue flame or the Lydia set, or...
You really want it that much. But yeah, so again, signs, humanoid enemies, just take care of them. I mean, there's not...
Humanoid enemy number 93 of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So the greatsword should really be like...
Oh yeah, you're fine. Like, these are the halberd ones, so like a lot of their attacks they are blocking while they're attacking, the same way the spear hollows do, so just rotate round their shield side and go for the backstab, you should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, they're incredibly susceptible to being backstabbed, so that's pretty much your best option for taking care of signs.
Yeah, you also have a 100% physical block shield, so you're pretty much fine unless these guys with the actual saying, the straight sword thing, unless they use the lightning strike, then you're fine just to rotate round them and go for the backstab.
Now remember, you can use shield bashes as well, so you can then get like the riposte.
But the problem is that when you use the shield bash, these guys tend to attack. Like, more often than not, when I go for the shield bash, they drop the shield and start attacking, and then you trade a shield bash for getting hit.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't actually a shield bash, it was just you shoving them, they recover quicker than you actually get a chance to capitalise on the stun, because you're stunned because they traded a hit for a guard break, so yeah. So just keep that in mind, that these guys can pose a bit of a problem, but if you just roll past them, like, once again, shield side is their weakest point, just roll past their shield and you should be able to land a backstab, which shouldn't be too bad.
So to quote Gary, just try to not get hit.
Yeah, just try not get hit and do more damage.
Yeah, that's your best options.
Yeah. We can't give you any more solid advice than try not to get hit and do more damage. So I'm going to throw in a little tidbit of information here for those of you that are feeling particularly ballsy. Vilstat can be parried.
Yeah, so I mean, if you really want to try...
It doesn't make sense, but he can be parried. There are enemies in the game that are smaller than Vilstat that you can't parry. Mirror Knight, you can't parry Mirror Knight. But he's the same height as Vilstat. No, in fact, he's not. Vilstat's taller than Mirror Knight. No, Vilstat's taller than Mirror Knight.
Now, before we go in, we're going to show you where... Oh no, we don't do it right now.
Well, it's going to cut to Agdane's. It's going to cut to us taking him on with Agdane anyway.
Not yet, we'll do that actually after.
Oh, there's Agdane's summon there.
Alright, yeah, if you go human, then obviously this is where you can see Agdane's summon sign. But like
you don't want to do that.
Don't summon him because it just makes Vilstad a bigger pain in the dick, honestly.
But what I was saying is, so Vilstat uses a great hammer, the Sacred Chime Hammer to be specific. You can craft it with his soul. You can also go to Strayed with his soul and you can get Sacred Oath, the miracle.
Yeah.
But the point I was making is that you can parry Vilstat's great hammer, but you cannot parry Mirror Knight's greatsword.
Well, there you go.
There's just it's as if they've just went, you can parry this one, but not this one. They just went eeny meeny miny mo for the parries. It's like dit dog shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, right, Velstad is kind of easy, really. His attacks are retardedly easy to dodge, and he's got a huge telegraph on them.
Yeah, but the only thing you have to watch out for is sometimes he does one attack, sometimes he like sort of delays and then chains a second. He does have a backhand which can be a bit like difficult to see coming, But other than that, you should be fine. Just keep rolling. You just roll through the attacks. It's that simple.
Honestly, being a lighter weight for Velstad is probably your best option.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Not right. So this
he
is Velstad.
He cannot one shot you. But this is his buff.
Yeah, so this is him buffing, so you can try and get in some free hits at this point. At this stage, he will do more damage, take a bit less damage.
Yeah, he still can't one shot you, so don't worry.
He can do a hell of a lot of damage when he does his...
He can take off like 2/3 of your health, but he can't one shot you.
Now, the issue with Velstad is pretty much just roll under the arm that he's holding his weapon with and then just turn back and hit his back, because he'll heal attack, follow up with another one, and by that time you've got enough time to hit him in the back, and that is the strategy.
Yeah. This is another attack. This attack can one shot you.
Yeah,
this attack has one shot me on NG plus 5.
Yeah,
this attack one shot. Well, no, it was 5. This attack one shot me, which was amazing. But yeah, he's really easy to take out. He's incredibly weak to lightning. He's very resistant to dark, and he's neutral to magic and fire.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like, the difference between his magic and fire defense in comparison to his dark defense is quite a big difference as well. So feel free to use anything other than dark, and you shouldn't really have too much of a trouble taking him out, really.
Yeah, and that's solo Velstad.
That's solo Velstad, yeah. Now we're going to show you taking him on with Agdane soon, which is like the worst thing you can do, because as we've mentioned, summons buff the boss.
So that there was Vendrick. Now you, at this stage, if you attack him enough, you'll go into like a boss fight, and he will have 32 times defense.
You just don't want to do that.
You don't want to be doing it.
32 times defense and attack, I think it is.
No, the attack
is it just defense? You just don't want to do that. He can one shot you anyway, so
yeah. So it does have quite a lot of attack. It does hit like a truck. So at this stage, we are now going to. I think at this point, it transitions into us doing it with
Agdane.
Yeah, we're summoning him now.
So this is the worst possible thing you can do, is summon Agdane. In fact, no wait, I can think of one more worse scenario. You summon Agdane and you try to beat the boss with the Dark Halberd.
Yeah.
That is the worst you could possibly... A Dark Dagger, no buff. A Dark Broken Ladle, no buff. Naked, Agdane, Champion's Covenant. Now you can't even get Agdane if you're on Champion's Covenant, so never mind. But yeah, like, this is the worst thing you could possibly do. But it's pretty much more of the same. It's just get your lightning resin on and go ham. Go beat him up. If you've ran out of lightning resin, remember you can go back to Shaded Woods and you can buy it off of Vengarl's head. So there's really no excuse to not take advantage of this guy's insanely low lightning defense.
Yeah.
So do that. Definitely. But
now, yeah. Agdane doesn't even really make that great of a...
Does he not die?
Yeah, exactly, he does die, hence he doesn't make a great aggro sponge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he still takes a fuck ton of damage, but only, like, I'm sure at one point Agdane hits him and it's like 90 damage. Yeah, 96 damage. Look at the size of his fucking sword. And he's doing 96 damage. And he just stands there and takes it as well.
Yeah, exactly. So Velstad just wails on him, and it also makes Velstad a bit harder to predict the attacks as well, I guess.
Yeah, it fucks with your timing because you have to dodge the end of the attack as opposed to the middle, which you're used to dodging.
Yeah.
So it sort of messes with your timing. Plus the hitboxes on some of the boss's attacks are really strange, where like somehow they'll hit behind them and shit like that, and you're like, I don't know why I'm being hit with this like, remarkably wide angle, but sometimes it does. So
now that he's buffed, he's taking very little damage.
Oh, he's taking 57 damage from Agdane's ultra great sword. Once again, ultra great sword. A great sword that is in the same category of weapon as the one we are wielding right now.
Yeah, so I mean, that you can just see how high his dark defense is. And then that's Agdane dead. So now we are left to deal with a buffed Velstad ourselves. So
double buffed Velstad, because there's a summon buff and there's the Sacred Oath buff that he cast on himself. And before anyone says that's not Sacred Oath, that's dark, it's just a dark version of Sacred Oath.
Yeah, deal with it.
I mean, it explains why he gets Sacred Oath out of his soul, doesn't it? It's just a dark version. He's corrupt by the abyss.
Now, his might as well mention this. His armor set you can buy off Maulin at this stage. And
after you've beaten him, of course.
Yeah, after you've beaten him. And his helmet's pretty cool. It raises like your vitality and endurance by 1 point.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. So I mean, it's heavy, but the stats that it has, its defenses are quite good.
It is actually a helmet. I'm pretty sure it's actually a lot better than Havel's.
It is better than Havel's.
Like in almost every way.
In every way except lightning defense.
Yeah,
because it's Velstad, it's not going to be good lightning defense.
Now, his Chime has a heavy attack that casts its own version of Affinity as well.
Yeah,
but it's
when
not
you
a chime,
use
it's like a big hammer.
Yeah, it's the Sacred Chime Hammer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be better if it actually was like a catalyst as opposed to its L2 when two-handed casts a shitty affinity.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, the affinity attack that you get with it is garbage. It uses durability like every other weapon special attack, so yeah.
So at this stage we're actually heading back to things Betwixt, believe it or not. And there's one little thing which I'm sure a lot of you don't even know about. If you talk to Strowin after you defeat Velstad, she'll give you 6 human effigy, so that's not bad. May as well take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's 6 of them.
So now we're going to go back to Majula, probably.
I anticipated Majula,
but we go about like back and forth quite a lot at this point, so I can't actually remember where the fuck it is we go.
But yeah, so we're going back to Undead Crypt.
Because we're going to do Agdane.
Agdane, you're right. So once you've beaten Velstadt, you grab the King's Ring, as we mentioned earlier on in the video. You can go speak to Agdane, and he will give you his Dark Drift katana, and the katana he doesn't use, as well as his entire armor setup. So that's the kilt, the gauntlets, and the I can't remember the name of it, but it's Agdane's shirt, whatever it's fucking called. So
it's actually like a weaker version of the Grave Warden set.
It is lighter, however.
Yeah. Now these Grave Wardens here are actually the only ones that drop the Grave Warden, the Silverback Sickle.
Silverback Sickle, that's a good point. Almost forgot that. Now these guys will automatically aggro you if you light a torch, as well as if the Hollow at the start of Undead Crypt, he can follow you all the way here, and if he steps in this room, they all still aggro on you anyway. So just make sure you do that. I invaded someone here and I tried to troll him, and I was like, where's my flame butterfly? Does it work? And it doesn't. I was so annoyed. I was like, damn it, I could have got him attacked off of everything if I lit that torch. But I should mention as well, the Dark Drift's a kind of cool katana. It's sort of more PvP than PvE, let's be honest here. What it does is it has a shield piercing ability where like a lot of its damage carries through even if they're blocking if you use the heavy attack. The really good thing is it only weighs 3 units, whereas most katanas weigh 6 and upwards.
Yeah.
So it is very light. Its damage is on par with the Chaos Blade.
Is it?
When it's infused, yeah. A Dark Drift at minimum stats done more damage for me than the Chaos Blade did. And it had Shield Pierce, and it didn't have Life Drain, and it was lighter.
Cool.
So the Dark Drift was infinitely better than the Chaos Blade at that point.
So at this stage, all we're doing is getting enough materials to upgrade our weapons fully. Essentially, that's all we're doing.
Because now she sells 10 Titanite chunks, as well as infinite small shards and large shards. So yeah, that's pretty good. And then of course, once we've beaten the Chandra, she will sell infinite chunks, as well as she will sell 10 slabs.
So you have no excuse to
not have a plus 10 by this point.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't have a plus 10 already, you still didn't have an excuse, but now you've got even less of an excuse, really. Like, there's no reason why you should not have a couple of plus 10 weapons at this stage anyway. She sells 10 Titanite chunks, which is more than enough.
So I mean, at this stage, this now allows you to just fully upgrade your weapons or whatever armor you may or might not be using. So yeah.
Yeah, but just try and keep your Twinkle Titanite, because we're going to have to upgrade the Hexel set very soon, and that uses Twinkling.
Yeah, so you want to upgrade Drying Light first, obviously, but after that, keep everything you've got for Hexel.
Yeah, we're going to try and upgrade the Hexel set as much as we possibly can for the next area, because there's a boss in the next area, not the next area, sorry, a couple of areas from now.
Yeah. There's
a boss that we want to take on who's renowned for being quite difficult, apart from a couple of cheese-it methods, and we're going to show you the one that is probably, it's just a little bit easier than the more well-known one.
It's easier, but a lot slower.
Yeah, it's a lot slower.
But we will probably upload a video showing the faster version at some point as well. So
yes, don't worry about that. But now it's just leveling up because we had like 100,000 souls. So once again, adaptability, or whatever you want to turn the build into. So if you want to go for achievement slots, then go for it. If you want to invest these souls maybe in upgrading your Pyromancy Flame, then good news, Rosabeth is standing up next to Saladin, so you can upgrade that as well. So you've got plenty.
And now we are off to do Lycia's quest line.
Make sure you have a 100% physical block shield. She does use Wrath of God, but the problem with her Wrath of God is that for some reason it's 100% physical damage and not magic damage like the rest, like every other
damage.
Lightning damage, yes. Unlike, like the Wrath of God, everything uses is magic, but hers are lightning, but hers is physical for some reason. So just make sure you got 100% physical block shield, which you do have, the Royal Kite shield, and you're fine, you're good to go. And then you just need to stop her healing, which is easy because you can backstab her when she goes for it.
Yeah, so just use the Crushed Eye Orb and then
go in and go ham.
Yeah, now she has a fuck ton of health.
Oh yeah, she has the most health out of anything in the fucking game.
But it seems that way, at least for NPCs.
And you also want to stay like right on her, because Like, Wrath of God you can block. She does cast Blinding Bolt. You want to take the hit from Blinding Bolt. You don't want to let it like, go into the air and cast off. Because then it will just stun lock you while she beats you to death with some lightning spears, which have insanely quick cast speed. It's insane.
Now, if you're on New Game, I mean, you get all that shit for killing her as well.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on New Game and you've Bonfire Aesthetic Medulla, she will get insane boost, like an insane power boost.
Oh, I wouldn't even consider taking her on past NG. I wouldn't even think about it because her health gets to the point where it is so unbelievably high. Like, she has more health than Vel'Stat and NG. I mean,
so if you use like if you Bonfire Aesthetic Medulla to get like certain items or whatever, then
like we did, and we realised that was the worst thing we could have possibly done.
Like you made the earlier bits of the guide like, oh, it's fine, we don't need to do certain things.
Yeah, nothing matters here because it's only a couple of skeletons in the basement, and we don't need to go there anymore because we've done that in Cardinal Tower. And then we're like, fuck, Lycia, we didn't even think about it, and then boom, she's unstoppable.
Yeah, now we're coming back here. This is essentially, I don't even know.
We're getting Great Lightning Spears.
Well, we don't get them, but this is just to show you that you can, now that you've done Undead Crypt, he will sell Great Lightning Spears and he will also sell Sunlight Blade.
We're probably going to come here in a couple of videos anyway because we need to get some more supplies from him anyway.
Do we?
I think we need to get more Great Lightning Spear.
Oh yeah, actually we do need some Great Lightning Spear, coming to think of it, funnily enough. We have put it to use in one way. So. Yeah,
one way. For this entire guide we have managed to figure out one reason to use a spell over the bow.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But yeah, he will also sell, of course, Sunlight Blade, as we mentioned. After you clear a mana, he will sell Sunlight Blade.
Great Lightning Spears as well. One stack of Great Lightning Spear. I mean, the game is giving you like 2 at this point, I think. But
it's also giving you. The game is now giving you the option to get a second Sunlight Spear per playthrough as well, which is really handy.
I mean,
not Sunlight Spear, Sunlight
Blade.
Sunlight Blade, yes. So I mean, if you're Faith build, then you only get like one cast of Sunlight Blade unless you put like loads of stat investment into it. So this might be better for you. It may actually be cheaper for you to just get a second spell slot for another Sunlight Blade than what it would to invest the stats to get a second cast of it, or even a third cast.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
Bear in mind as well though, Hexel's Hood still gives you that extra cast, so it is still worth it. And the Saint's Hood that you got from Lycia there increases your faith by 1 and increases your casts by 1 as well.
No,
but Hexel's is better.
2.
Increases your faith by 1.
Oh,
but the Hexel's Hood's infinitely better because it increases int and faith.
And that's us.
That's the end of the video. So as ever guys, click the episode on the left to go back to the guide for Shrine of Amana, and click the box on the right to go to the guide for Aldea's Keep, which will be up very soon. As well as links are in the description down below. If you guys do feel like donating, then that is where you will find the link. But do not worry, a view, comment, subscribe, even a like for the video is more than enough. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, everything's on screen, guys. Yeah, that about does it for this video.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we hope this was informative and we hope you enjoyed it.
As ever, if we missed anything, be sure to let us know in the comments so we can annotate it in. But other than that, guys, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye.